Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co, and this is Where Are They Now for April 2022. We're taking a look back at the games I reviewed last April, the games I covered, as usual, breaking these up into sections, so we'll have all the games I haven't played since then, usually meaning they left my collection, therefore my review has not changed, the games that I have continued to play and the rating has stayed the same, and then of course the small handful where the rating actually changed at the very end. Feel free to skip around in case you only want to see the changes, or just maybe only started watching the channel like last week and it's actually helpful and useful to see what my ratings are on a bunch of games a year ago. Anyways, let's go ahead and dive into this. As usual, timestamps, everything down below, but starting off with the games I have not played. Starting with Gladius. We had Gladius, which I gave a 2.5 out of 5. I thought Gladius was totally fine, it was okay, but it didn't really do anything for me. It's a kind of betting game where you're kind of trying to lean interest in gladiators. It just was a little too ambient and light in terms of what it did. It didn't really work for me overall. It was fine. It's just nothing there special. We had Cryptid Urban Legends, another 2.5 out of 5. I did not like that one. I not only did I not like the game, but it was further insult on top of injury because it was kind of compared to like, hey, a two-player Cryptid, but it had nothing to do with Cryptid. Cryptid is a fantastic game, and Cryptid Urban Legends was a mediocre at best game that used the name of its older brother that made it seem like it would be similar and had no similarities at all. It's not like you have Castle Burgundy and Castle Burgundy the card game and you can kind of see the resemblance. There was nothing similar between the two engines past the shared name, nothing whatsoever at all, which also further led to the disappointment of a game that was already kind of meh. We have Bandida. I give that a 3.5 out of 5. Bandida is a light little puzzly game of laying down tiles, working together to try to help Bandida escape. It's a fun little system. There's not a lot of depth to it, but it is a fun pick up and play kind of experience. I enjoy it, but also nothing amazingly special going on. 3.5 out of 5. We have Panorama. I gave that a 3 out of 5. To me, Panorama is basically a weaker version of Castle of Mad King Ludwig. You're working with your player on your left and your right to build out a panorama, but there are too many flaws with the scoring so that the principle could have been better, but the actual execution had a little too many flaws, so I still enjoyed it, but enjoyed it with the flaws and no need to go back to it. A 3 out of 5. We have Quest Kids. Quest Kids, I don't think I actually gave a rating in my video at the time, but Quest Kids to me is a 2.5 out of 5. Now, make no mistake, my kids love Quest Kids. They thought it was amazing, they thought it was incredible. We may or may not still have it. I don't remember if I got rid of it, but all I know is Quest Kids to me, despite the fact that they overall liked it, in fact, I probably should change this. This is probably in the category of games where the rating hasn't changed, but the game actually was played since I did that review. But Quest Kids, for me, I don't enjoy it. My kids do love it, which means when they ask to play it, I'm kind of resistant to it. But it's a fine game for kids. For me, I don't enjoy what's happening in it. I find it too light. Again, this is a weird thing. One of the reasons I probably didn't give a rating in the review is it's a weird balance rating games for kids, because who are you rating it for? And so I made it clear it wasn't really for me, but I may have not included the rating because I'm always wary. It's not that it's a bad game, it's that I don't like it, and my kids love it, so it's a better game in that sense, but yeah, I always don't know. I never fully know what to do with ratings like that, where it's target audience versus me. Then we have Jurassic World. I have not played this one since, unfortunately. 3.5 out of 5. I gave a first impressions of it where I overall enjoyed it. I played like 7 games and then I stopped playing and meant to get back to it. I have not gotten rid of it. I do want to finish the game, but I don't know if or when I will at this point because a year has gone by and it has not been played. I like Jurassic World. I want to finish. I know I disagree with the Dice Tower review on that, but I also think they played it with 4 players, I think, and a 4-player game of Jurassic World I would not like because you'd have no action economy. The 9 actions you have around are split amongst the number of players, and that's 45 actions the whole game, which means a 4-player game, you have like 4 actions, you have like, 10 actions the whole game? 10 actions the whole game to go through, which is just not a lot. And so overall, I enjoy Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, A Legacy of Isla Nublar. Not a slam dunk for me, but it had enough going on. I liked it without loving it. A 3.5 out of 5. We have Marvel Legendary. No, that's out of order. We have Dark Quarter. The Dark Quarter I gave a 3 out of 5. That's a Kickstarter game that was, Chronicles of Crime / Destinies mashed together, and to me it was the good parts of Destinies and the good parts of Chronicles of Crime, except I don't like the Chronicles of Crime. So I think it has a target audience, but that target audience simply is not me. The Dark Quarter, a 3 out of 5. We have Sleeping Gods, a 3.5 out of 5. I think Sleeping Gods is brilliant. My review, this one's actually problems. Like, I think my review is titled something like one of the most impressive games I've ever seen designed, which is true. Also, mechanically speaking, for me, is only a 3.5 out of 5 because I love the storytelling and the way they kind of leveled. You can do this, then that, and if you go here and you have that card, then this happens. I thought they did an amazing job of giving you an incredibly interesting experience, but one that mechanically I thought kind of wore thin on me as I continued to play through it. And so for me, Sleeping Gods, I enjoyed my time with it and think it's an incredible design, but for me, ultimately, it didn't end up sticking around. But the problem is, you title a review, one of the most impressive games I've ever seen designed, and that goes into the, oh, Alex loves another game. In that case, I actually am impressed with Sleeping Gods, and I want Distant Skies, but I got rid of it, a 3.5 out of 5. We have Marvel Legendary. Marvel Legendary is a deck building game in the Legendary universe. In the Marvel universe, they have a lot of games in the Legendary system. I've played Marvel Legendary and some of the expansions. I haven't played any of the others. To me, it's a 3 out of 5. The expansions bring it up a bit to a 3.5 out of 5, but still not enough to keep and hold around. I got rid of that one as well. We have Anastyr from Mythic Games. That one I gave a 4 out of 5, and this is a tricky one because the rating of the game is still a 4 out of 5, and I haven't played it since covering it, but obviously there's all the drama with Mythic Games and the lack of deliverables, and so that does mean that there's like a little bit of negative energy around Anastyr for me. Purely speaking, gameplay-wise, still a 4 to 5. I enjoyed Anastyr and would love to dive back into it. Am I excited for it right now? Not actively excited for it. Hey, it'll show up one day, and I'll play it when it does, and I'll enjoy it when it does, but the excitement's kind of gone with all the drama and issues going on there. We have Fliptown. I gave that one a 4 to 5. That's a roll-and-write game with one of those interlaying, you do this, then that, and they all interweave nicely. I really enjoyed it. Designed by, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting. Stephen Armani, I want to say designed by Stephen Armani. Fliptown, great game, really enjoyed it, looking forward to that one, but it's a prototype, so I have not played it since. We have Viticulture World. I have Viticulture, not Viticulture World, because Viticulture World to me is a 4 out of 5, but Viticulture is a 4.5 out of 5, meaning Viticulture World is a game that I both really enjoy, and also would never personally pick it over Viticulture itself. I prefer competitive Viticulture over Viticulture World, and so despite it being a 4 to 5, I don't see a reason to keep it or own it, and I got rid of it. I'm happy it exists for those who like cooperative games and like cooperative experiences, and I know it got rave reviews from a lot of people, so definitely look into it. For me, it was very good, but worse than Viticulture itself. Then we have DC Comics Deckbuilder. Gave that a 3.5 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, I have not played it since. This was a game I played with my son, and I got it. It's the Cryptid, one of their deck builder systems. They have a lot of them, and they're all very derivative of each other. Like, lots of copying and pasting of the same general mechanics. Not necessarily a bad thing, though. It gives people a theme and a design that they want. And in the case of, Batman and Robin and all these various things, I enjoyed it, and I had fun with it. But it's not a game that I need, and my son didn't ask to play it for long enough that eventually it left the collection. We have Mountains of the Molehills from the OP. I gave that a 3 out of 5. I thought Mountains of the Molehills had a very charming aesthetic to it, and the way you have the little mountains pop up out of the ground and you topple them down. A very fun little game in the visual design of it. Pure gameplay, though, for me was a 3 out of 5. It was fine, but it was not amazing, and the toy factor wasn't high enough for me to be compelled to dive into it again and again. We have Euthia, Torment of Resurrection, a 3.5 out of 5. I liked Euthia. I thought Euthia had a lot of things that was so much fun, but I also thought it was too much work and a very long experience for the gameplay experience you got out of it. To me, I'd rather play games like Mage Knight, which give me a deeper experience, or other games that give me a more adventure but less of a obligation experience. I think Euthia has a lot going for it, and I think a lot of people will be very happy for it. For me, it was a little bit too much work to get to the game parts that I liked, and so while they had lots of fun moments, that's one of those games, like a 3.5, that difference between a 3 and a 3.5, for me is a 0.5, that 0.5 is the difference between me kind of wishing I was playing it again, but just choosing other games over it. And that's very much the case with Euthia. With Euthia, I wish I was playing it again. I wish I was diving into it more, but I'm going to choose other games over it. Versus a 3, at that point, I enjoyed it, but I don't even care if I never play it again. That's the small nuanced difference, and definitely applies to Euthia. That brings us to all the games I have not played since last year, which brings us to the games where the rating has stayed the same. We have Canvas Reflections. I gave that a 4 out of 5. That is maintained as well. The original Canvas is a game that I gave like a 3 initially, and then bumped up over time because I really enjoyed it more and more. Canvas Reflections, though, a solid 4 to 5. I like it. I don't think it's essential to Canvas, contrasted with Devin Talks Tabletop, who believes Canvas Reflections ruined Canvas for him. But I like Canvas Reflections, and I will always choose to play Canvas with it, but if I don't play Canvas with it, I don't mind either. I think it's just more good stuff without being amazing essential stuff. We have Viticulture, which I gave a 4.5 out of 5. Was that? Did I review Viticulture and Viticulture World in the same month? Huh. I didn't realize I did that. Viticulture. Did I really? Or did I just put this here? I may have messed this up. I don't remember when I reviewed Viticulture. I may have reviewed them both in the same month, but either way, Viticulture I gave a 4.5 out of 5. I love this game. I think it's incredible. It has held up for me. It continues to hold up for me. I haven't played it a ton in the past year, but I've dove into it maybe 3 or 4 times, and I still enjoy what it's doing very much. We have a Magic Maze. I gave that a 3.5 out of 5. What's Magic Maze on Mars? I think it was Magic Maze on Mars. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I like what the system is doing, but I like regular Magic Maze more. Magic Maze on Mars was charming for the difference that it gave me, but I prefer Magic Maze is the basic, although the truth is neither one do I own. Both of them I kind of played through, enjoyed the puzzles, and then got rid of. We have Glass Road. Gave that a 4 to 5. Still holds up in terms of the rating. Glass Road to me doesn't have the depth, the complexity, the layering that some of his titles, Uwe Rosenberg's titles, have. From In the Feast for Odin, from Caverna. Other titles have more to them. Le Havre. But Glass Road holds up as quick and accessible and gives you a lot of charm in a very short, condensed time frame and a lot of decision space into a shorter time frame. I really enjoy Glass Road, a 4 out of 5. We have Ra. I gave that a 4 out of 5 as well. That was reviewing and covering the new 20th Century game that they had over on GameFound. That particular, deluxe-fied version. That should be showing up about now, actually. I should be probably getting a copy of that soon. But Ra is a delightful experience, an excellent auction game, one that I still don't know if it holds up in my collection long term. I've played Ra a lot. That's a game that I've played, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 times, which for some people is a lot, for some people isn't. For me, it's a lot. For sitting down on a table and playing a game, that is a lot of plays. And so, yeah, I really like Ra, but 4 out of 5, 20th Century Games version of it. We have Three Sisters. I gave that a 4 out of 5 as well. I like all the games in that line, from Fleet the Dice game to Three Sisters to Motor City. They all give me that interweaving aspect, similar to what you get from Stephen Amandi's Fliptown. They all give that same kind of, puzzly, layered decision-making that you get from Ganshun Clever, from Hadrian's Wall. A bunch of games have that element to it, and I really enjoy them. For me, Three Sisters is probably, I don't know where it is. I like them all. I have a hard time picking which one I like more in that particular series, but I like them all, including Three Sisters. And then we have Golem, which is a 4.5 out of 5. Really enjoy this game. I think it's an absolute blast, and I'm always down to play it. Always interested in playing this one. Just recently, Chris George stopped by from Room and Board, and he was talking about it, and I was like, I should play this after this. The problem is we said that about like 5 different games, and we chose 3 others to actually table instead. But Golem, fantastic game. Still enjoying it. 4.5 out of 5. Which brings me to the final 3 over here, the reviews that have changed in some way. And again, usually it's not always a review change. Sometimes it's a game that left my collection or some nuanced difference. Let's start off the bat with Decorum. Decorum I gave a 4 to 5. I really like Decorum, but I played through enough scenarios, and at a certain point I was fine getting rid of it. Decorum is a lot of fun, but it is repetitive in the feeling that it gives you, and my rating has not changed. I still hold it as a 4 to 5, but a 4 to 5 that I moved on from. I'm always happy to sit down and play Decorum. I think it's excellent. It's a game of trying to work together to try to puzzle out how you want the room layered out. So lack of communication as you just like aggressively move things around the room. Feels lots of fun. Really enjoy it. Highly recommend it. 4 out of 5, but it did eventually leave my collection. We have Project L Finesse. That's going to be the expansion for Project L. Oh, did I put Project L? Why is Project L? Did I just cover? No, Project L. Project L Finesse. Project L Finesse. Sorry, I wasn't sure if I did a Viticulture World again where I covered the game and the expansion. Project L Finesse. I covered the expansion. I gave it a 4 at the time. That's going to go down to a 3.5. Now, to be very clear, the base game of Project L is still an incredible experience. Still highly recommend it. It's the expansion Finesse that has gone down for me. I find that I still enjoy it, but it's just fiddly enough and with just enough extra rules and not enough extra given that I kind of only play that with people who already know the game. I don't dive into it the first time, and I don't feel I miss it when I don't play with it. I like Project L, I like the Ghosts, I like the Ambassadors. Those are quick and easy additions I always play for first-time players. And Finesse is kind of a take-it-or-leave-it expansion, which I enjoy, but it's not one that I feel crazily strong about. It's gone down a drop for me. It doesn't enhance the gameplay, it just gives me more gameplay and variety to the gameplay. I'm not getting rid of the expansion, but I don't play with it half the time, if not more. And then lastly, we have Last Light. No rating change here, 4.5 to a 4.5. The only real change and adjustment is I have had a chance since last year to finally play, I think it was a 7-player game. Meaning until now I'd played it at 2, 3, and 4 players, but I had not played a larger multiplayer game, which you need, by the way, you need the expansion to do that with. So I played it with 7 players. I can't speak for 5 or 6. I will say 7 felt unnecessarily big. It's not a game that I would ideally pull out at 7 players. I think if I was pulling out 7 players, if I had 7 players, I would just pull out a different game instead. So as much as I did enjoy Project L, I don't know why I said Project L. As much as I do enjoy Last Light, and my rating overall did not change, I would be reluctant to dive into it at 6 again. I think I would still try, at 7 again. I think I would still try it at 6 and 5 to see where that cutoff is for me. Because 6 and 5 also happens a lot more than 7, but 7 was definitely a bit much. Maybe 7 people who fully know the game could change. But again, that's not even that relevant to me in general. I find it's hard to get even above 4 in my collection nowadays. I like the flexibility of having the expansion. Like for Project L, not Project L, darn it, for Last Light, which starts with an L, and twice. For Last Light, I definitely want the ability to jump in with more than 4 players, but I don't know how often I'm ultimately going to end up using that. I think it's primarily going to be a game that gets played at 3 and 4 players as a quick, fast 4X experience. Really hits, I really enjoy that one, but not one where the higher player counts. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't what I would ideally choose, if that makes sense. And those are the games I rated last year. Those are the games I covered and reviewed last April of 2022. I'll see you next month, and of course tomorrow and the next day, and possibly even later today, depending on what the video schedule is. But as always, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, I hope you have a good one.